We want to talk about what clients should look for in a diamond. So there's a lot of confusion about like what matters most in the 4 C's, what's most important, which ones should they focus on when they're looking for a stone for their engagement ring. So let's start with marquise. When you're looking to source a marquise, what are you looking for particularly?
Set your clarity, you set your color, and then you use your budget to drive the carat size. I have different recommendations for natural versus lab. Lab diamonds tend to be warmer. I prefer to go higher on color. I would set the color grade to F for a lab grown diamond and VS1 or higher for clarity. With cut grade, if you are not a diamond expert, you're looking for very good or higher, you can just say VG, which means very good or higher, and you just never have to look at it again. These diamonds now that are showing up in your options are going to be perfectly clean to the eye, very, very sparkly and really symmetrical and beautiful.
For natural marquise, what are your limits there?
Natural marquise, we are going down a bit in clarity and color because we've found that natural diamonds tend to be held to a higher standard, at least in the many, many, many diamonds we've evaluated over the years. So with marquise cut specifically, I would set to VS2 and G color for natural. And then again, you're gonna let the carat weight be driven by your budget. With natural, you're usually going to get some fluorescence if you're going to get a decent kind of price point for carat size. We reject diamonds sometimes that have high marks but aren't pretty. Right. And in those cases, we actually reach out to the client and make alternate suggestions, usually for the same price point, for just a prettier diamond. And that's really what it's all about. Once you have this all narrowed down and every diamond you're looking at is objectively beautiful, now you're getting into the nitty-gritty. Does it have faceting that looks kind of odd? Wide open windows of facets. That applies to any cut, marquise cut very much so. The last thing that you are going to worry about is the proportions of your diamond, which as an artist, when I'm sourcing things that are really interesting for our collection, proportions are where we're setting our collection apart. So an extraordinarily short or extraordinarily long marquise cut would be far more unique and interesting to me to design for. And they're usually really hard to find. So if you want a traditional, perfectly proportioned marquise cut that has the right standard width in the midsection and it goes to the points at the end, those are going to be what are showing up basically right away in your search if you keep your metrics at the recommended. And for lab, that's VS1 or F with very good or excellent cut, and your carat weight is dependent on your budget. And then for natural, that would be VS2 clarity and G color with very good to excellent cut. Any selection in there that shows up right away, that's going to be your standard proportionally down the middle.
What you would see.
What you would see everywhere. And then you're looking at the pictures. You're going to see if anything stands out to you for strange faceting, just something that looks odd. And if you want something more unique, you have to dig from there. You have to search. You have to look at all of the photos. It's really the only way to find something that is an odd proportion that's like extra long or extra wide.
And our team can help with that too. We have people reach out and say, hey, I love this ring that you had. It was one of a kind and it sold, but I want one that looks like that with the skinny profile or whatever it is. And our team can find some options for you. Personal preference comes into play so much for marquise because it completely changes the look of the ring if you have a skinny versus a fatter one. And the way that we do it when we make rings to order is that we customize the setting to fit that perfectly. And if you want a certain setting that wouldn't look the best with a skinny marquise, we will tell you. Our job is to make sure that you have something beautiful that you're picturing.
I think that marquise, even though it's become very popular right now, can still become that really iconic individual version of an engagement ring. And we are seeing marquise take some of our classic designs up a level, adding a new voice to them. The snowdrift ring with marquise is one of our team's, my own included, favorite new designs that we didn't realize would be so beautiful until we set the first one for a client, and now it's in the collection. So if you haven't considered marquise, please do. It is a statement maker, but it's also just unique, and it's extremely vintage inspired.
A lot of our grandmothers had a marquise stone, our great grandmothers, and so if you're a person who likes that kind of vintage, antique inspired look, it can turn even a modern design into something vintage inspired looking.